Day 29 Word of God, Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 26. There is none like unto the God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and in his excellency on the sky. Deuteronomy chapter 33 contains the final blessings of Moses to the tribes of Israel just before his death. It mirrors the blessings given by Jacob to his sons in Genesis chapter 49. Moses, knowing that the Israelites were about to enter the promised land under the leadership of Joshua, offers these blessings as parting words of encouragement and hope. In verse 26, Moses refers to God as the God of Jeshurun, a poetic name for Israel, and extols God's uniqueness, power, and majesty. This passage is a proclamation of God's might and faithfulness as he rides upon the heavens to help his people. There is none like unto the God of Jeshurun emphasizes the uniqueness and incomparability of God. The name, Jeshurun, is a poetic name for Israel, meaning upright, or beloved one. It refers to the people of Israel in an ideal state, representing their relationship with God. This phrase highlights that no other God or power can compare to the God of Israel. Moses is declaring that God is not only powerful but also deeply involved in the lives of his people, unlike the false gods of other nations. Who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, is a striking image of God's majesty and his willingness to come to the aid of his people. The idea of God, riding upon the heavens, conveys his omnipotence and sovereignty over the universe. It shows that God transcends the natural world, but he uses his power to help and protect his people. This phrase reassures the Israelites that God is not distant but actively intervenes in their lives, offering help from the highest realms of creation. And in his excellency on the sky, further emphasizes God's greatness and glory. The word, excellency, suggests God's supreme power, majesty, and honor. The imagery of God in the sky portrays him as exalted above all, yet he uses his majesty and greatness to provide protection and deliverance for his people. This part of the verse highlights that God's transcendent power is not far removed from human affairs but is engaged in supporting his people. When Moses speaks of God, riding upon the heaven, to help, it evokes memories of how God delivered Israel from Egypt through miraculous acts, such as parting the Red Sea, Exodus chapter 14. God's power in these events was unmatched by any other, displaying his ability to intervene supernaturally for his people. In Joshua chapter 10 verse 11, when Israel fought against the Amorites, God demonstrated his majesty by hurling large hailstones from the sky, killing more of the enemy than the Israelites did with the sword. This is an example of God, riding upon the heavens, in his excellency, directly intervening in the battle to help his people. In Acts chapter 1 verse 9-11, Jesus ascends into heaven, symbolizing his reign over all creation. His ascension is a reflection of God's exaltation and power over the heavens. Christ's authority is exercised for the benefit of his people, as he intercedes for them at the right hand of the Father, providing ongoing help and guidance. In Hebrews chapter 13 verse 6, believers are encouraged to trust in God's help, saying, "The Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid." This echoes the reassurance given in Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 26 that God actively helps his people, riding upon the heavens in his power to protect and sustain them. For believers today, Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 26 offers great encouragement and assurance of God's active involvement in their lives. It reminds us that God is not only all-powerful but also deeply personal and committed to helping his people. The imagery of God, riding upon the heavens, highlights his ability to intervene supernaturally in our circumstances. This verse challenges us to trust in God's power and majesty, knowing that he is always available to help us, no matter how difficult the situation may be. It also invites us to worship God for his uniqueness and majesty. In a world that often elevates human power and success, this verse calls us to remember that there is no one like God. He alone is worthy of our praise and trust. The image of God riding the heavens in his excellency reminds us that he is supreme over all creation and yet uses his power to care for and protect us. Ultimately, this verse encourages us to live with confidence, knowing that the same God who helped Israel is actively working in our lives today. God bless you and give you grace after grace.